What's going on, everyone? It's your Mark Shields, and Hoxie and I had a discussion and we decided to have this episode of Mark Out of 10 just standard Moo 10. We have extracted all the Sting deep dive and the watch along, and we're going to release it as a bonus episode for the Mark Out of 10 audience. Hope you enjoy. Welcome to Mark Out of 10, the wrestling podcast where we chat shit and get banged, where opinions mean everything and nothing at the same time. Tonight we talk about news and everything that's going on in wrestling, and we also say thank you and appreciate one of the true greats in wrestling. A career that spans almost 40 years, we're going to deep dive the career of one man. Who is that man, I hear you ask? Well, it's Sting! It had to be done.
Yes, it did.
First of all, I am the Mark Shields, and my co-host, the turnbuckle toy boy, the man who redefined the term gorilla position, the housewife's favourite heel, Hoxie. How are we doing, Hoxie?
This might have to be an edit point already.
We're not going to edit any shit out now, so that's fine. I'm going to say that's one of my best ones yet.
That's the best one you've ever done. Oh, shit.
So yeah, how are you doing, Hoxie?
Concentrate. Oh, fuck me. I look like a fucking tomato already. Jesus, that's... Oh, God.
Now, I'm going to say,
an asthma attack. I don't even have asthma. That's amazing.
That intro actually took me about 30 seconds to write today. I'm
Dude,
really impressed with myself.
Seriously, that's incredible. Incredible. Oh, I'm on top of the world, mate. I mean, even more so now. Even more so. That was a great shout. That's fucking brilliant. How are you doing? What are you saying?
It's been a busy old week. I mean, I said I wrote that in 30 seconds. Tonight could be all over the shop because I've been so busy with work. I usually like to plan out the format of it, but we're just sort of fucking winging it this week. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. Now, we spoke about, obviously, we're talking about Sting this evening, because obviously he retired from active wrestling, which is a great career. We're going to recap. But I was going to say to you, I was going to turn up wearing the white Sting face paint and the black. It was I couldn't find white face paint, so there we go. Dude, I think that would have killed you off.
Honestly, if I turned, so we jump into this recording software a little bit before. If I came into this call and you're just staring into the camera, just
white
like the fucking Sting paint, I think I probably would have just turned it off and fucking went away. I think we ain't going to beat that. That's amazing.
So good.
Oh dear.
So yeah, it's going to be a good one tonight. Obviously, it is going to be a Sting focused, and it is going to be WCW with the list as well this evening. But as ever, we'll do a little bit of news because there is a few things that have happened in the most recent past. And we're going to start with probably the most recent. So as everybody knows, we record this on a Thursday.
Yeah.
And what happened yesterday, I messaged you first thing this morning, didn't I? I was like, I haven't had a chance to watch the entire show yet, but I've watched the debut of the Rainmaker Okada, and I've got concerns, man. I'm worried. I'm really worried. It's got the potential to get good. We'll give it an opportunity to sort of grow legs and see where it goes. Yeah, we'll see how it plays out, but I've got a big concern. It's going the way that we thought it was going to go if we went to AEW.
The way of the door. Okay, now it's just not good. Apparently, allegedly, this has been in the plan for months and months and months. So it wasn't a quick thing. It's
not good.
If they've been planning that for months, then that's worrying in itself because it was
it's a shit the bed moment, right?
Shit. Yeah. Oh dear.
I mean, I'm not going to just even. We know our opinions of the Young Bucks, okay? And we'll talk about that because in the middle of the list tonight, we're going to watch the Sting's match because I'll hold my hands up. I haven't seen it. I've been so busy this week. I haven't had an opportunity to watch the entire pay-per-view or the Sting's match. I know certain spots that are there that we'll no doubt talk about it. So we're going to watch it tonight together. It's not going to be an official watch along. We're just going to watch and just talk over it essentially. But we want to see the match, and it's a very fitting place. But, the Young Bucks, we're going back to Okada just now. The Young Bucks, we're not fans, right? They have a place in wrestling, like we've just discussed before, but we're not overly big on them. Okada looks like a serious wrestler, right?
Yes.
He looks like a serious star, and he is a serious star. I just don't know how it's going to work with as our good friend or Jim Cornette says, the young fucks. I don't know how it's going to work.
He's one of the best. He's one of the best wrestlers to ever do it. Basically, it's very simple. He's one of the best wrestlers in the world right now. I would say, ability-wise, he's probably the best now, given some of Daniel Bryan's limitations and some of the things that he's been doing over the last 6 months. I would say Kazuchika Okada is probably the best wrestler in the world right now. The fact that he's came in to this is dreadful. I think when you have a big pay-per-view, Revolution it's been promoted very well. They sold it out. Obviously, you got Stings. I know sometimes we shit on AEW a lot for doing too many angles, like an angle and an angle. And I think if you're going to have a big debut, you either have it on that Revolution pay-per-view, which was 2-3 days ago, or you do it slightly different. Because it happened on Dynamite this week. The Young Bucks were giving the beatdown to Eddie Kingston, who isn't. So I love Eddie Kingston. I think he's great. Give him a microphone. That's what you want from Eddie Kingston. You want to hear him talk, and you want to hear him be real and stuff. His matches are a bit, but in terms of his believability as a performer, as a person, that's what I want to see him do, and he's really good. But he's not one of the biggest stars in AEW. He definitely isn't one of the biggest stars in AEW, and for Okada to sort of come in and do the save segment for Okada, it's a bit of a damp squib. And the fact that he's turned and it was one of the worst Rainmakers I've ever seen. Aligning himself with the Elite and sort of being he's basically replaced Kenny while he's off, isn't he? Really, it's what it's boiled down to.
And it writes itself for Kenny's return, right?
Of course.
Which will be a cracking match.
We'll hopefully, because if Kenny comes back, and if Kenny can come back and perform the way that he's performed in the past, because he's fucked. He's in a bad way. Yeah. Kenny's fucked. So it's difficult. It is difficult. But if we look at that segment, you've got the Bucks who have got massive go-away heat right now, right? You can agree with that.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's not just from us saying these guys are crap. People are turning off. I would guarantee they probably wanted to be in that segment because it's going to be a high number. So they'll be like, "Oh, look, we don't fucking turn people off our product." For the last few years, they've been a dead segment on the show. They've been keeping themselves away from the show to sort of avoid all the shit that's come with it. But they've had a dreadful this gimmick, this thing what they're running at the minute. This we're the producers and we're in charge and all this. It is awful. It is literally like fucking Vince Russo WCW level awful for me.
It's what the actual gimmick itself could work, but not for them because they're so silly with it. It's like there's it's similar along the lines of Vince McMahon playing Mr. McMahon, right? There's got to be a blurring of the lines a little bit. You can't tell where one ends and the other begins, right? Because there's a lot of Vince McMahon and Mr. McMahon. It just is. Whereas you just don't believe it with the Young Bucks, okay? No. It's even when they're doing the whole, we're suspending Adam Page and we're firing Kenny Omega from the Elite. It's like, what they're wanting is they're wanting their YouTube show to be on national TV. That's essentially what they're doing, right? Being the Elite. So for me, that doesn't work. If we go back to Okada for a second, I haven't watched a lot of Okada. I haven't watched a lot of Japanese wrestling, like we've talked about before, which is my bad. The Rainmaker does not lend itself to a run-in maneuver.
No.
You know what I mean? It's like, now I don't know what else he's got in his arsenal. Obviously, I've watched the Kenny matches, etc. We've watched that on your streams. But that for me didn't fit. And it's interesting what you say. It's in terms of, for a big debut, you either do it at one of their big shows, or like you make a big deal of it. And this is where AEW and WWE differ, right? I'm going to do the comparison again. With WWE, you know there are 4 major pay-per-views.
Mm-hmm.
Mania, Royal Rumble, Survivor Series, SummerSlam, right? So you've got an opportunity there of 4 times throughout the year. You can either make a massive debut of a well-known name, or the Monday Night Raw after those pay-per-views are always red hot, and that's another ample time for you to debut a major superstar that you're wanting to create. With AEW, I don't know what pay-per-views are their major pay-per-views. So it doesn't have the same effect. It's all the same. Like, I don't see the difference between an AEW pay-per-view and a Collision, or an AEW pay-per-view and a Dynamite. For me, there's no difference in it. It's all just matches. Now, granted, in this pay-per-view, there's a lot of build-up in terms of, there are a few storylines there, right, which is great. It's fantastic. But I think that's, in order for AEW to sort of progress to that next level, which again we really want to happen, because it benefits everyone, right? If they become even bigger and are a legitimate threat, and they're not a legitimate threat just now to WWE. Right now, they're not a legitimate threat to TNA. Right, in my opinion, they've got to distinguish what are their major pay-per-views. Now they're adding more pay-per-views into their calendar. Will that make a difference? Hopefully so. But yeah, that's just, I just think it's a bit of a damp squib in terms of Okada's debut for the size of superstar he is in Japan, the amount we've talked about him, the amount that the wrestling community talks about him. I just feel it shit the bed a little bit.
I agree. It's Okada could be their next main event superstar.
Yeah.
And they've brought him in like this to work alongside them. Like, fair enough if they go on a run now for like the next 3 years and they just take over AEW, and they're all main event talent. They're all in big angles and main event sort of storylines. Okay, it's different, but the history tells us with them that it won't really be that, if you know what I mean, and it's not going to end up being that. And to align yourself with people who have genuine heat, not, oh, I don't like you because you're a heel. People do not like them. To align yourself with that just makes you fucking stupid, basically. I'm so annoyed. I didn't want him to go to AEW anyway. We've spoken about this before.
Yeah.
I didn't want Okada to go to AEW. I wanted him to go to WWE because they would make an absolute superstar out of him. And already, on his debut, they've shit the bed with this guy already. Hopefully they can pull the nose up, but genuinely, he's been in the fucking company for like on our screens for less than 2 minutes, and it's like jumped the shark already. You know what I mean? It's crazy. Fingers, toes, everything crossed as much as we can to sort of to make something of this. But yeah, I'm not confident.
We talk about in wrestling how it's like, for a long time we don't know what's going to happen, right? And that's very true in terms of WWE, in terms of WrestleMania, right? But if we talk about AEW, we didn't know what was going to happen with Okada. We sort of knew it was 99% certain he was going to AEW, right? We didn't know, and we would never have guessed that he was going to align with the Young Bucks and go up against Eddie Kingston, potentially in the first feud of his run in AEW. We would never have guessed that in a million years. And that's not surprise booking, or that's not booking that keeps people on the edge of their seats. That's just, what the fuck are you doing? It's like that. It's lazy. It's just, again, it's about the Young Bucks wanting to go with their mates, because they are friends, right? It's like they're friends from the time when they were there.
From when they were in New Japan.
We'll wait and see.
Shite. Absolute human dog shit. A lot of them. Yeah, just not for me. Hopefully, because like I said, we've spoke about Okada before. If you're listening for the first time, go and have a look in the back catalogue and have a look at our historical shows and stuff. I love Okada. I love him I love him like a brother, man. No, I literally love him to bits. And the fact that he's came in and went straight to that even gives me the ick. And it's frustrating. Or it's probably just like I think this morning when you messaged saying like, have you seen like Dynamite? I was like, no, what? And then I had a quick look and I was like, fuck, I'm going back to sleep. Fuck this. Just wake me up in 100 years. Yeah. Just wake me back up in 100 years. Just fuck this. I'm going to go and hibernate for a bit. Let me know when it gets good.
It's a
I'm
shame,
kind of joking, but kind of not.
exactly. Yeah.
So
it's a shame for a potential like bona fide like Hall of Famer type talent we're talking about here, but we'll see how it goes. And speaking of Hall of Fame as well, Hoxie.
Look at you! What a fucking pro! Look at that.
The first two inductees into the WWE Hall of Fame have been announced. First one is a woman that you have spoke about in Top 10 Women Wrestlers.
Yep.
Bull Nakano is going to be inducted in the class
PGA
of 2024.
Hall of Fame. No, sorry, not for the golf, for the wrestling, isn't it? Not for a golfing, it's for the rest. Sorry, getting confused. Yeah.
I was going to say, is that a celebrity one? A golfer going into the Hall of Fame? Who knows? Yeah, well deserved. Obviously, we talked that through again. Go back to our back catalogue and listen to Medusa at that time, wasn't it?
Yeah, basically, pretty much put her in the spotlight of sort of international wrestling. Yeah,
well deserved.
Feud. Yeah, definitely. She's obviously she's badass, just legit treble hard badass. She was mixing it up in that sort of 80s, 90s period of women's wrestling in Japan where you had to be just to sort of, survive a match. It's probably a good start, but that feud with Medusa just sort of skyrocketed her basically to be like an international superstar. She done stuff everywhere, WWF, WCW. Obviously, she was like All Japan, whatever, everywhere and anywhere. Amazing. I'm so happy that somebody like her is getting sort of recognition in the Hall of Fame.
No, it's good. It's good. Who do you think will induct her?
Medusa, probably.
Yeah, it's got to be, right?
Has to be. They might call an audible and have somebody come in, but it's got to be, hasn't it? Really,
you think so?
Fair. Yeah,
I mean the bridges have been built with Medusa, right? In terms of she's an inductee.
She's been back doing stuff, hasn't she? Yeah, she's been. I think she's been doing some training and some like agenting and stuff. I think from what I can remember. So yeah, she's been knocking around, but
it'll be really good.
Makes perfect sense. Doesn't
so it? That's one of them. But the one we're going to talk about as well is a well deserved as well in terms of contribution to the business. One of the best managers, one of the best promoters, and one of the best on the mic ever, in my opinion, Mr. Paul Heyman.
Yeah, it's just about time, really, isn't it? You know what I mean?
100%.
Let's be fair. He's. If they made a documentary or like a biopic about this guy, it would be. You wouldn't think most of it was real. You'd think it'd been written. Like, you know what I mean? Like you'd think it'd been made up. But just the fact that he's there and he's been one of the best things on WWE television for a very long time. The history, obviously, with ECW, Paulie Dangerously back in WCW back in the day. Yeah. He's been there. He's done it. He's done everything. The guy's a fucking bona fide legend, a living legend in the wrestling industry. He's as crooked as a 2-bob note, like, but that was part of his charm, I think, right? You know what I mean? It's part of his package, but I just think it's an amazing thing. It's cool. It's cool.
Again, well deserved. It's like you say, he is crooked, right? It's like you count your fingers after shaking his hand, but the guy's an absolute legend. I'm a massive fan of Paul Heyman. Like,
you're a big fan,
big fan. He's one of the few people in wrestling nowadays that if I sometimes have on in the background as if I'm working or whatever at the computer, and then if he comes on the screen, I stop what I do and I'll watch. You know, he has that sort of pull for me. And again, the same question for you, Hog, that we asked for Bill Nakano. Who inducts Paul Heyman?
Now, see, if all this shit wasn't going down, I would have said either Brock or to do it.
Interesting.
But I think potentially somebody along the lines of like Bully Ray.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think who can
Austin?
speak potentially. That might be a good shout. I think one of those, like a Tommy Dreamer, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, safe bet, right?
An ECW guy who still can actually string a sentence together without slowing up or fucking swearing or
Sandman.
whatever. Sandman. Let's get Sandman. I want to start a fucking petition on the internet to get Sandman.
Sandman fucking kendo stick Samantha Irvin.
I think it would be amazing, but I think maybe somebody like Bully Ray. But yeah, like if it probably wouldn't have been Brock because he sort of struggles a little bit, doesn't he, putting stuff together? But
He's got better. That's a great shout.
Why wasn't that one of the first things that popped into my mind? Him and Punk are like that, aren't they?
Yeah.
Roman Reigns. Does Reigns put him in? I think it's a bit too on the nose. I think it might be a bit of a work to do it that way, but I think Punk putting him in would be good. Punk or someone like Bully Ray.
Bully Ray can speak, yeah, absolutely. That'd be really good. What's interesting though is Paul Heyman's always said that he wouldn't go into the Hall of Fame if he's still active. Does this mean that we're going to be seeing the end of Paul Heyman?
Just take what he says with a pinch of salt. It's Paul Heyman, right? Yeah. If they're going to come up to him and say, Paul, do you want to be in the Hall of Fame? He's not going to say no.
Yeah, exactly,
yeah. So
I would say he is like headline of the class worthy. So I'm really interested to see who's going to be headlining this class.
Because they always they always have a celebrity, don't they?
Yeah.
Pretty much. So there'll be a celebrity inductee. They have like a really old from someone from like the 60s or the 70s or whatever a lot of the time as well. So they'll have somebody in like that.
Usually a tag team.
There'll probably be a tag team or a faction or something along those lines. So it'll be interesting to see who goes in, but it's a good class so far. There's only 2 of them being announced. It's a good class, so I'm there for that.
All there for that. Do you agree with who we think are going to induct them? Who would you like to see in the Hall of Fame class of 2024? Let us know. WrestleMark10@gmail.com. You could tweet us at Mark_out of 10. Comment on our YouTube channel. You can comment on our TikToks and on our Instagram. And we've created a Twitch page as well, by the way. So if you want to, we still don't know how we're going to utilize that, but follow us on Twitch as well, Mark out of 10. We potentially could do actual watch-alongs on that, so get involved. So as I say, we are celebrating the career of one of the greatest, and it is only fitting where, he made his name in a lot of places, but the company where he made his name. And we're going to look at the top 10 moments in WCW, whether it's good moments, bad moments, matches, or it's something that made you feel something. Me and Hoxie are going to go through what we deem as our top 10 moments within WCW, whether it be, as I say, personal or impact to the business. You ready, Hoxie?
Oklahoma. Drink time. I need to wet my whistle. I need to open my bag of Haribo as well because my voice is going already. Mate, that training session I've done today, I was like, honestly, I was like, shit, I've got to do the podcast as well. BRB.
When I go down to Darth, I'm going to try and design 2 T-shirts.
Huh?
When I go down to Darth, I'm going to try and design 2 T-shirts. One that says Oklahoma.
Yes.
And one that says Blue Chipper.
Beautiful. I'll just say, yes, I'm ready in answer to your question.
Cool. We are
having to go back into something.
The thing is, I can take it, as we revealed last week, Oklahoma is our safe word in terms of stopping to get drink or to go for a piss or whatever. So we had an Oklahoma moment. Cheers. Okay. So yeah, we're going to start number 10. I think it might be you this week? Question mark.
You.
Is it me this week? Okay. Okay, my number 10 it's a stupid moment. But whenever I think of WCW, it's always something that comes into my head, and I don't know why. I think it just shows the life I lead. And it is. You got hashtag not sponsored.
Please not sponsor.
Haribo, if you want to sponsor us, let us know. WrestleMark10@gmail.com. So my number 10 is actually Goldberg breaking the window of the limousine and almost having his arm amputated. I don't know why. As I say, it's not a memorable moment in terms of all things WCW, but this means it's for me, it comes into my head. So setting the scene, it was Goldberg was in a feud with NWO. This was around 2000, I think it was.
1999.
Was it 99? Okay,
Yep.
fair enough. And Goldberg was chasing down the NWO in the parking lot, and and the scripted scene was that he was supposed to smash fuck out the windscreen of a limo, or the window of a limo, with a metal pole, but the metal pole had actually dropped. And Goldberg, thinking he was the superhero that he was, decided it was a great idea to punch the fucking window. Now, don't get me wrong, it looked fucking great, right? It looked amazing, but he broke his hand. But a piece of broken glass actually like cut an artery in his arm, and basically his blood was pissing everywhere. It was like he legitimately almost died. There was a stage where like he almost had to get his arm amputated. It was like it was that bad. So he was really it was fucked up. And you know, just that sheer manic moment from Goldberg, I think it scrapped like 5 or 6 months worth of creative at that time, because he was out for a
He was out
good
for
portion,
ages, wasn't he?
Well, I think it was 5-6 months. And you know, as I say, it's not going to be something that's written in the annals of time. It was a stupid throwaway moment, but for me, it was a memorable moment in WCW, because it's something that we talk about. We actually talk about it quite often when we talk about Goldberg, right? Fucking idiot doing that. And, you know, the fact that one of the biggest stars in WCW ever, which he was, you know, rightly or wrongly, almost killed himself by fucking trying to punch his arm through a fucking limo window. So, yeah.
Because he didn't punch it like straight, like you would normally punch something.
No, it was a fucking...
He like done it like that, like he was like hitting it with like a hammer. So like he smashed the window, and his arm went across all the glass. Smashed there. What a silly clown! I can think of another word that begins with C to describe Goldberg, but yeah, it doesn't sound like clown. Oh,
sounds like punt.
Yeah, rhymes with punt. Yeah.
But yeah,
I wouldn't say his face though.
No, it's fine. I think we're safe. There's an ocean between us, so it's fine. But yeah, as I say, it's a throwaway moment. But for me, whenever I think it's WCW, rightly or wrongly, that always comes into my head. So yeah, that's my number 10, Hoxie. There will be things that we definitely disagree on. That's definitely not going to be in your list, but
no, it's not.
It's my list. It's my list.
You can do what the fuck you want.
Exactly.
Justification is everything.
Absolutely. Okay, number 10.
That's amazing. That's such a fucking fun little one to put on there. Yeah. Like you say, like you mentioned Goldberg, it's like one of the first things that pops into my head, and she's really bad. But yeah. Cool.
Okay, awesome. You're number 10, Hoxie.
My number 10 is. So we had a really quick chat about this earlier on. Is how I done my list, how Shields done his list, and. For me, this is another one of those like feeling ones. So for me, and I had to get this on this list, and it's on there low. I've done this a couple of times with Hogan. This is Hogan signing with WCW.
Okay.
I think when you look at the annals of time within wrestling, especially modern day wrestling, I would sort of probably class like when WCW and WWF started. You know what I mean? Like taking off. I would class that as modern day wrestling, basically. When Hogan left WWF in 1993 and then had that parade when he sat on the roof of a Hulk Hogan liveried Dodge Viper driving through Hollywood. Was it not Planet Hollywood, Universal Studios or whatever it was in Florida. With the red and white, like high-fiving kids and everything to basically say that I have signed for WCW. A, it couldn't really get much more American than that. And B, that was the start of a big change in wrestling. It was good for Hogan to go away and sort of start something new. Obviously, it's a brand new chapter and it was something different and it was something really, really big at the time. But that is, if you think about WCW starting, quote unquote, starting for the people who are not watching this, I feel that WCW started in 87 or whatever it was, but I don't think WCW really started until 1994 when Hogan got signed, when Ted Turner put sort of the money into WCW and said, what do you need? Well, we need Hogan. What do you need? We need prime time. What do you need? Like, that's when WCW really, really started. And it's a massive, massive moment in wrestling. It's a huge, huge moment for me as a little Hulkamaniac, or like, you mean, looking back as a Hulkamaniac and seeing this sort of stuff happen at a later time. Big deal. Hogan signs for WCW, number 10. All day. That welcoming parade was just fucking nuts, man. There's nothing's happened like that before. They might have had it with the Von Erichs, like in Texas, but that was just like, that was a localized thing for somebody winning a title. This was like nationally televised, big deal.
Yeah.
Probably internationally televised, a big deal for the world of wrestling, and nothing like this has happened before. Crazy. Yeah. Hogan signs with WCW.
It's a fair shout.
Yep.
Big name signed for WCW.
Yep.
Fair enough, Hoxie. You're number 9.
My number 9 not necessarily links in quite closely to this, but what is very close to this is Monday Nitro debuting.
Okay.
The debut of Monday Night Raw is a huge, huge deal in wrestling history, but it was the most important, poignant part for WCW. I've just sort of touched on it earlier on with Ted Turner. Bischoff is in the room with Ted Turner, and Ted says, well, "What do you need? What do you want? Give me prime time." It's like, okay, going head to head against Raw on a Monday night, prime time television, whatever it is, 8 till 10 on a Monday night. Like, that's a huge thing. September 1995 is when it happened, and they done it at the Mall of America. Really famously, the show was broadcast from the Mall of America, which is an amazing vision. Like, if you haven't seen it, just go away and have a look at some of the footage or some of the pictures, some of the stills. Like, they've got the escalators going up and down. They've got people around the ring, like people in the middle of the mall. There's a wrestling ring in the middle of the mall, and they're doing a television show from the Mall of America. And obviously, it was a success initially, but it was a big deal when it comes to wrestling. And we talked earlier on about Sting headlining against Flair at the last one in 2001. That was the main event of the first WCW Nitro. You had Macho Man there, you had Sting there. We had Lex Luger debut as well, which was a big deal at the time. That show's really important, and we talk about memorable WCW moments. You have to speak about this. Debut of Nitro is a huge deal in wrestling and for WCW. My number 9.
I had debut of Nitro on my list, but I did take it off. Again, for every reason that you said, it's really important. I took it off. I think it was like the second to last thing I took off my list. Massively important.
WCW for a long time was seen as that wrestling. You got that wrestling, like it was that southern-based. Jim Crockett was all Carolinas and Georgia, and it was that southern wrestling.
Yep.
What happened with Nitro is it made it national, and it made it a big deal, and it completely changed that mindset of sponsors, of syndication, of fans, of wrestlers. They made it something completely different, basically overnight. By getting that primetime slot on a Monday night. That 8 till 10, you got up against all the shit that was on at that time, primetime American television. It changed the game completely. Big podcasting hand.
Podcast hand. We need to get foam hands, like a Hoxie foam hand.
Holy shit. There we go.
That's what it's about.
Coming to a shop near you.
Yes, eventually, once I get my finger out. Honestly, I should just quit my real job and just like do this full time. What do you think?
Feel look after you. You'll be all right.
That should kick my balls in. Let's be honest. Right, okay. Scottish women are scary. Okay, moving on to my number 9. My number 9 is actually the first match on my list tonight. And it is, if someone asks you, give me a match to watch that just shows how good WCW was, and it's Eddie Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio at Halloween Havoc in 1997. It's the mask versus title match, where Rey Mysterio's in the purple and Eddie Guerrero's looking hench. It's fucking insane. So, 97, it's probably regarded as one of the top 5 matches in WCW history, I would imagine, easily.
Yeah.
Took place in Las Vegas. It was the MGM Grand. Eddie put on the line his WCW Cruiserweight title on the line against Rey Mysterio's mask. The match was just so good. I watched it again this morning, just cause. Well, yeah, basically, I was on a meeting that I didn't have to speak at, so I was on mute and just watching wrestling. It was fucking great. The stakes were high because obviously Rey Mysterio being the Lucha is the mask is such a massive proponent of the Lucha heritage, right? In terms of that, and just everything they did was so crisp and just clean, and it just looked so smooth. Eddie was in amazing shape, natural or not. I'm not going to say one way or another, but he was just so fucking good. It was high flying, it was technical, but it wasn't overly spot festy. Yeah, it wasn't. It was just, there was psychology, there was storytelling within the match. Obviously, there was an overarching storyline, but the actual storytelling within the match was just fucking phenomenal. It was the cliche poetry in motion, right? If you haven't seen it, go and watch it on YouTube. It's just something that, if you are a wrestling fan of any point of wrestling, right? If you are an AEW fan that loves the sort of spot festy, fast-paced lucha style, but if you enjoy storytelling with great psychology, this match ticks every single box for me. Yeah, I'm not going to spoil it if you haven't seen it, but the ending of it I think is really, really important as well. Because it added something different to Rey Mysterio and to Eddie Guerrero in the coming weeks and months and years afterwards as well. So yeah, it's just, that is an exceptional example of all that was good in WCW for me. That particular match, fucking outstanding. It gives you goosebumps just now, just even thinking about it. It's just fucking so good, so good. So that's my number 9.
Yeah, it was the last one taken off my list.
I thought
there's once again, it's just justification. This is just the way that I've done it. There's other stuff on here that mean more to me and mean more to wrestling, if you know what I mean, and make me feel. But that was 1,000,000%. It was nearly my honorable mention,
right? Okay,
but I dropped it off there and dropped off the list. I've spoken about this match before, I think, in the archives. I can't add anything to what you've said. Just if there was ever a match that should be a 5-star match, it is that.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So
yeah. Awesome.
Okie dokie. Moving on to my number 8. So we just talked about some of the best things that WCW offered. I'm now going to go into a horror show of what WCW offered. Again,
is that another list? We can do another 10.
Oh yeah, that's a point. I don't think I've mentioned this. I completely changed my list at about 3 o'clock today, so my list was totally different. Like I've got a brand new 11. So my number 8 is something that contributed. Yeah, it did. It contributed to the downfall of WCW, and that was when David Arquette won the title. So David Arquette was brought into storylines in WCW. I think it was 2000. It was, yeah. It was because they was filming the film, was Ready to Rumble, yeah, and he was integrated into storylines. And there was a match where he was it him and Diamond Dallas Page? It was him and Diamond Dallas Page, DDP, up against Eric Bischoff and Jeff Jarrett. And there was a stipulation: whoever got the pin would become champion. Now, in this, Arquette pinned Bischoff, and he won the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. I think he only had a 12-day reign. He didn't want to do the angle, which I've only found out recently. I didn't know this. He didn't want to win it because he himself was a massive fan of wrestling, right? He always was. And he said that him as a fan would hate that a non-wrestler winning the title, and fair play to him. But Vince Russo, he was the head booker at the time, and he said that it would be great for the company because it would promote, it would get natural promotion because Arquette was obviously a film star. In a weird way, he was right. But, not the way he wanted.
Good publicity.
Yeah, right. Exactly. What was interesting, I didn't realise that Arquette, all the money he made in his WCW time, he donated it to the families of Owen Hart, Brian Pillman, and Darren Drozdov.
Wow.
So he didn't keep any of the money from it, which I found really interesting. But yeah.
That's amazing.
Not a great WCW moment. It was a really bad moment, but I think it's really important to emphasise on the sort of downfall of WCW, and there are a few of them, and I will talk about a couple of them on my list later on as well. I think it was Mean Gene said as well, he was in an interview that once that he had won the title, you might as well just throw it in the trash because there was just no credibility to it anymore. Yep. It was, and he was right, and terrible moment for WCW, but again, it's one of those ones you think of WCW, it's something that will always come to your head. It's a memorable moment, be it good or bad. And when you think of it, unfortunately, you do think of David Arquette winning the title. So that's my number 8.
I didn't want to put it on my list because I just would have got really hot talking about it, like a mega hot. Because I can see why it's on there 1,000,000%. Like I say, it's memorable. It really is. Like any WCW documentary that's ever been done ever will have that as a very, very big moment. Some people say that is the jump the shark moment for WCW. They probably had 10, to be fair, and that was probably one of them. But I can't disagree with it being on your list, mate. Not at all. Absolute shithousery of the highest degree. And Vince just booking for the sake of booking. Ridiculous.
He was booking TV, not wrestling, right?
Not wrestling. Yeah.
That's the difference.
Bro, they won't see it coming, bro. Fuck off, Vince. Get back in your box, you fucking nonce. Anyway, yes, go on.
So that's my number 8. It's over to you, Hoxie. You're number 8.
So, my number 8, the fact is, I've got nothing left to give, and I want you to remember me as I was, not as I am. But being the man that I am, my last act, formerly as a horseman, I got one last challenge. And that is to you, Kurt Hennig. Don't misunderstand me. It's not for a fight. You got something special. I've seen you in this ring. Your skills, your maturity, your commitment to excellence make you something special. And what my challenge is to you, Kurt, is to stand beside my best friend, Ric Flair, and lead these two men back to the glory and the prominence that the 4 horsemen once had. And I'm going to tell you what your prize is. It's not a spot in the Horsemen. This is worth a lot more to me than that to me. I'm going to give you the only thing that I've got left. Not a spot. I'm going to give you my spot. One of the greatest promos in the history of wrestling, and 100,000,000% had to make it onto my list, is Arn Anderson retiring and that my spot promo. As a memorable moment for me in WCW, and as one of the most memorable moments in WCW, that promo is special. Very, very, very special. And just a great moment. You've got Mean Gene, you've got Flair in the background crying his fucking eyes out. You got Arn literally laying every single last little bit he's got left of that promo to everybody, and giving Kurt Hennig my spot. Just amazing. No one writ that for him. He probably went in there without thinking of it and done 5-10 minutes chatting about it. Amazing promo. Phenomenal. Yeah. All I had to do was read it out. Like, I can't really talk about it without just reading that bit, and that bit is just chef's kiss. Number 8, the My Spot promo.
I'm going to apologise to you and the Market of 10 listeners. I forgot that promo.
Would it have been on your list if you'd remembered it?
I put Goldberg smashing his fucking hand through a limo.
Hey,
such a cunt. That's ridiculous, man.
That's why I'm here, mate. That's why I'm here. For these little moments. That's why I'm here.
It's actually really pissed me off. Like, I'm
fuming.
really annoyed. I'm actually raging.
For those you aren't watching, he's like, he turned away from the camera for a second. He's screwing. I can see steam coming off the top of his head. The boy's on fire. He's fuming.
Fucking
I can't make.
Such a great promo, man.
That was just one little bit of it as well. That was like the main bit. That was the last bit. There's lots and lots of stuff before there. But yeah, that was the 25th of August, 1997, WCW Monday Nitro, and it was Rick.
You know what's fucking annoying, right? I love Arn Anderson.
Yeah.
It's like a fucking king of the spine buster, man.
Yeah. Number 8.
Move on before I punch fuck out my screen.
Got bubble in my throat. Number 7. Is it my number 7? My next?
Yep.
Sorry. Jeez, I don't know what happened then. My throat went really dry. My number 7 is Terry Funk pile driving Ric Flair. So this came as a culmination after the World Heavyweight Championship, like the trilogy with Steamboat. Flair beats him. Old middle-aged crazy Terry Funk is on commentary. It's so good. So Funk does like an interview. They do like the interview thing. Like they presented it as actually a real sport. Who would have thunk it? Amazing. Imagine that. And Funk basically congratulating Flair. Wanted to be the first person who challenged him, and Flair was like, "Nah, you're all right. You've been out for a while. Like, there's other people who deserve a shot more than you. What makes you think, like, not he wasn't saying, but like, what makes you think you can just swan an ear and be like, oh yeah, now I've won, like I want a shot at it." And obviously Terry Funk did not like that at all.
Yeah.
So basically sucker punched him and beat fuck out of him. And the pièce de résistance, the cherry on top of this, was Terry Funk actually pile drove Ric Flair through a table at the end of a pay-per-view in 1989. No one had ever seen that shit before. They weren't doing table spots in every fucking match ever. But it was one of the hottest, best feuds. They just had the trilogy, which goes down as 3 of the greatest back-to-back matches in history. But then they had that feud with Flair and Funk. When you look at some of their matches, I think they've done an I Quit match or a Last Man Standing match. I can't remember which one it was now. Sorry, off the top of my head. But that feud with Flair and Funk in '89 was really, really good. Really, really good. And they were doing shit that no one had seen on American or like national television before, like the pay-per-views and stuff. Pile driver being pile driven, pile drove, whichever you want to fucking say it, through the table at the end of the pay-per-view was like, people would like sending letters and like ringing the WCW headquarters and seeing if like Flair was dead and stuff. Like, it was obviously back then it was different. It was still real to me, damn it. But like, people were genuinely mortified by this happening. Listen, now you see it in every match twice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, then people thought he was fucking like, shit, Flair's dead.
Yeah.
He's killed him. He killed him. My God. But like, it was so well done. And what a great turn. Like, just an amazing, it's not an in your face thing. It wasn't really predictable, really. It wasn't like, oh God, yeah, Flair's just going to turn, because it wasn't just, oh yeah, Flair, I'm just going to turn up and do, Funk was just going to turn up and do this one match. It was like, they not sowed the seeds. It was just, oh, shit, bang.
Yeah.
Flair didn't play it up. It wasn't a wrestling promo. It was just flippant conversation. If you haven't seen the match with Steamboat and Flair for that last match, go and watch it. If you fast forward to the last 5 minutes, make sure you watch the angle afterwards, because it is just amazing, and it makes my soul happy when I think about it and I watch it, and that's why it had to get on this list, because it just makes me happy, and it's special to me. But it is one of when you look at early WCW, that '89, that 1989 was a special year, and this was one of the most poignant moments of that year as well. Yeah, Funk pile drives Ric Flair.
That's what it's all about. It's about how it makes you feel, right?
Yep.
That's what wrestling's all about.
Yep.
Great shout, Hoxie. It's not on my list, but it's more special to you, which is all good in the hood.
It's really special to me.
I'm still fucking fuming. Actually raging. Right, okay. Yeah. Moving on to number 7 for myself. This is quite an important moment as well. It's the first time it's ever happened. It was on November 17th, 1997. The ravishing one, Rick Rude, debuting on WCW and appearing on WWF TV on the same night. The only time that has happened, I believe, still. I don't think that it's never going to be replicated again.
Nope.
So, yeah, Rick Rude appeared on Nitro, which was obviously live. Let's give a bit of historical context. So it all stemmed from the Montreal Screwjob job, right? In terms of where Bret Hart got screwed over to lose the WWF Championship. Obviously, Shawn Michaels was involved, and Rick Rude was one of many superstars in the backstage that was really unhappy how that main event went over, we'll call it, in a Survivor Series. And he was actually one of the few that left the company, left WWF, and never returned. Just simply there because he reached an agreement with Eric Bischoff, good old Eazy-E, and yeah, appeared live on Monday Nitro, which, as I say, it was a live program, and at that time Raw was always pre-recorded, right? So he appeared live, and he criticised WWF. I think he called them Titanic, in reference to the Titan Towers at the time. Criticised Shawn Michaels, and then. I think the first thing he says, "What a difference a day makes." I think that's the first thing he said on microphone. Yeah, and then obviously about an hour later, like he appeared on Raw, and it was the first time that happened. Really, really important time in wrestling, I think, and that was really the Monday Night Wars kicking in, right? That's the moment, and
that's when it all started getting really
real.
Not dirty, yeah. Really just brutal with what they were doing with each other. And that's when it got meaty, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So a very, very important moment for WCW. And like you say, it became dirty. And, it's the first time that's ever happened, appearing on both shows. But also Rick Rude was the first person to appear in DX and NWO.
NWO. Yep.
Yeah. Really underappreciated talent, I think, Rick Rude. Fucking phenomenal talent, right?
He was amazing. Such a great worker. I think he was very clever as well, because when he went to the WWE, because in WCW he was a proper worker. He really, really was a real wrestler. And he went to the WWF and sort of, obviously it was more characterization would get you over in the WWF. And he was very clever to understand that. So I think out of sort of mainstream WWE, WWF fans who saw Rick Rude, they didn't see Rick Rude. They saw ravishing Rick Rude, which was very different, but he was still good. He was still badass. Fucking body. Jesus Christ. Phenomenal look. And I wanted to be his airbrush tights. I used to love tights were cool. It was just so sick. Was it a match against Steamboat and he had Steamboat's wife airbrushed on his crotch?
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
and he didn't like that at all, because it was when they were feuding for the belt, wasn't it? When they had the title. So, it was on my larger list.
Yeah.
But it didn't make it on it's crazy. It's crazy when you think about that.
You can't.
How confused would you have been if you were a kid, not like a teenage lad, watching that and be like, what the hell?
What the fuck's going on?
Yeah. How's he on that? What? What's going on? It would be sick. It would be such an amazing moment. It'd be really good.
Died far too early as well.
Oh, yeah.
Was it 40, 41? Something like that?
Yeah.
Not old at all.
No.
Just fucking... Men wanted to be him, women wanted to be with him.
Yeah.
Fucking legend of the business. So yes, that's my number 7. Rick Rude debuting on both WCW and WWF TV. Okay, so my number 6 is the finger poke of doom. It is one of the highly controversial and widely criticised moments in WCW. January 4th, 1999. Storyline, it was the WCW World Heavyweight Championship, and yeah, it was the New World Order. They were split in two factions, weren't they? It was the Wolfpack and
that NWO Black and White, and then NWO Wolfpack with the red and black.
And there's this ongoing sort of saga with those two, and they came together. And Hulk Hogan did the finger poke and pinned Kevin Nash, allows him to get the 3 count to win. It was just a shit the dead moment, right? It was, we talked about Arquette earlier. I think this was just a clear indicator of how far the sort of creative direction went in WCW. For two massive names like Hulk Hogan, obviously one of the biggest names in wrestling, and Kevin Nash, we've talked about his limitations, etc. But in terms of a great mind for the business, for them to sort of agree to do shit like that, it just, again, we talk about credibility. We talked about credibility beforehand with Sting and TNA, etc. Mm-hmm. This was just a shit the bed moment, and again, it is a memorable moment. People, you say to anyone about WCW, it's like, oh, fucking finger poke of doom, and it's definitely one of the major things that led to the downfall of WCW.
1,000,000%.
It was just horrific, so bad for wrestling, and that's the sort of thing that you go, do I know something that didn't deserve to survive? It's just because it was just bullshit like that happening.
So, if you look at this show, so just to sort of pad this out a little bit, which you might have done, I'm sorry if I'm not taking over, if you know what I mean, but just to give like a bit more padding out. So this was at the Georgia Dome as well. So there was nearly 40,000 people at this show. So the Georgia Dome was the big venue in Atlanta where WCW would do their big shows. Also on this night was the butts in seats moment.
Yeah, that's right.
So
the shit show of the highest order of that show.
Everything that could have gone wrong here went wrong. Mm-hmm. You had the WCW executives there as well. It's like Turner executives. You had AOL Time Warner executives. All these people who were being involved in with this craziness that was happening at this specific moment in time were all there watching this. 40,000 people were in attendance to watch Hulk Hogan versus Kevin Nash. Nash had just fucking screwed over Goldberg for the title. That's why it happened. Goldberg didn't want to lose to Hogan, and Hogan didn't want to do all this sort of stuff. So it was just a big, massive mess anyway. And then at the time it was, we've been told that Cactus Jack, who used to wrestle here, is now wrestling as Mankind, is going to win the belt on the other channel. That'll put butts in seats. It did. 800,000 people turned the channel and they didn't come back because that's what they went up against.
Mm-hmm.
Hogan won the belt. Hogan won the belt with a finger poke of doom, and Mankind beat DX for the title. Beat The Rock for the title, with DX. It's a crazy night. Mental moment. Yeah, nuts.
It just epitomised like the inmates running the asylum, though, right? It's a case of why
Nash had the book at the time. That was the whole thing. Nash was booking.
Just insane. Absolutely
he booked
insane.
himself to beat Goldberg, and then he booked himself not to have a match against Hulk Hogan. Guy's a genius, really, when you think about it. But it's not good for the greater good, is it? It's not good for the outcome of the company. There was more to it than the downfall, but stuff like this doesn't help, does it?
Really exactly. I think it's the sort of cherry on top of the shit show that was WCW at that time, right? I think it's not the best moment. It's certainly not the best moment in WCW. It's certainly not the best moment in wrestling, but it's a very, very important moment in wrestling.
Usually, yes.
And this was, as you say, is the butts and seat moment alongside that. That's not on my list, as a spoiler. But again, it could have been, because it's such a poignant moment in wrestling, and that was the beginning of the end of the Monday Night Wars, essentially. So my number 6 is the finger poke of doom.
Yeah, it's a great it's a really, really meaty subject to speak about. Like they could genuinely, we could do a whole 2-3 hour show just on this and the ramifications, like, and the lead up to it and the outcome from it. Mental. Yeah. It's not on my list.
Stuff.
Not on my list, but it's just yeah.
That stuff we could potentially do in the Twitch channel. You know, in terms of we put something on the background and we just talk about random stuff.
Chat. Yeah.
You know, and if we have live people there, they can ask us questions, etc., about like either this moment or just wrestling or our lists in general. It's just another thing. It's stuff that we want to do, definitely. But yeah, sorry, I digress. Number 6 for me, Finger Poke of Doom. Over to you, Mr. Hawks.
So this is one of the coolest. I think this is one of the coolest segments in history of wrestling. Never mind just WCW, but when I think of WCW, this is one of the first things that always pops into my mind, and it's sort of famously been dubbed the lawn dart segment. You'll know when I speak about it. So this is the bit of the segment on Nitro where there's a 6-man tag match going on in the ring. The Four Horsemen, and Randy Savage, Lex Luger, and Sting, and Jimmy Hart like interrupts the match by like pleading with people, like shouting at everyone, like we need help, like he's on the screen and he's screaming at the camera like we need help. And you look back there and there's, I think it's like Arn Anderson and Buff Bagwell or whatever are just like on the floor, and it's Nash and Hall running around the backstage beating the shit out of everybody. It's became famous. It's called the lawn dart because Rey Mysterio does the jump out the trailer and he gets caught by Nash and he fucking throws him into the side of the trailer. But it's an amazing. It's one of those things where it really did, especially at the times with thinking like 97. 98, or I think it was 97, I can't remember the top of my head, but it's where there was still people who thought this shit was real and it was going on, and it really, really, really blurred the lines and sort of broke that fourth wall or whatever. They had people ringing the police. They had legit calls to the police about this to say people are getting attacked, like these guys are attacking people with baseball bats, and it's like someone's going to die. And what was really cool about it is they sort of, it was like the last 15 minutes of the show was the cameras walking around looking at it all happening. It was almost, it became like a fucking, like an episode of Cops or something. Like it wasn't, it wasn't a wrestling, it wasn't a wrestling show anymore. It was like a shit. It was like a war zone that was being filmed, basically like a gangland fucking like.
They blurred the lines, right?
They really, really did. And there's a shot of Mysterio fucked up saying that there's four people in the NWO now. And it was like, shit. And he didn't have his mask on. His mask was off. So it was one of the first times we ever saw him with his mask off, which made it even more like, shit, like fucking Mysterio. What the fuck? Mysterio hasn't got his mask on. This is real. And as an angle, because it's what it was, but the people who were watching that at the time didn't think it was an angle. They didn't think that was wrestling. They legitimately thought Nash, Hall, and like everybody, Hogan with the spray paint and all that sort of stuff, they legitimately thought this was three guys trying to kill people.
So I'm watching Rey Mysterio getting fucking launched into the
side of the truck. It's just amazing, isn't it? It's the amazing spectacle. And then obviously they all get in the limousine and like Randy Savage is like chasing them down the fucking street, like running after them. It's like the guys like Sting, Luger, Savage. Sting and Luger, WCW guys, and then Savage was like part of that before he joined the NWO. He was part of that WCW sort of fight against them. Like they had the baby faces, like Sting, Savage was literally running down the road after the limousine trying to catch them. Like it was so good. What, like I said, one of the best. Like I said, I caught it's the lawn dart segment. If you haven't seen this as a wrestling fan, if you haven't seen this, if there's anything that you watch about what we talk about tonight, for me anyway, go out of your way and watch this 20-25 minute segment on YouTube or the network or whatever. Yeah. It is amazing. And as a storytelling, like, bit of sort of psychology for any wrestling in history, it's really special. It's really good. Yeah, it had to get it on my list. It really did. It's just an amazing bit of telly.
Great bit of TV.
Yep.
Excellent shout, Hoxie. Okay, that's us at number 6. Oklahoma. Beat. Oh, that's me back. I'm still raging about the fucking Arn Anderson promo. Ridiculous. Oh dear.
I've just while you went then, I've just had a message. Just going back to Okada really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, the rumor has it, as this Tokyo Sports have reported this, that Okada has signed with AW for 2 billion yen over 3 years, which is roughly $14 million.
Fucking hell.
That's got to be one of the biggest contracts in wrestling.
Yeah, I'd probably say so. Yeah, I'd probably agree with that, yeah. Okay.
It's got to be up there.
Yeah,
phenomenal amount of money.
Fucking hell. Okay, everybody. We're back, we're settled. Had that interesting bit of news. I'm going to keep that in because editing is just a lot easier if I just keep the shit in, so it's good.
Keep it in, we're okay.
Fuck it. Okay, so we are now on to number 5, and I believe it is you, Mr. Hawks.
My number 5 is another promo, and it's a promo, I'm already fired.
Yep. Thought be on your list.
It's, for those who don't know, Ric Flair was actually suing Eric Bischoff at the time, and he went away for a while. He was sort of off TV, went away while all this shit was going on. And he came back in Greenville, South Carolina, which is Flair country. One of the biggest pops you will hear as well, really. I was thinking about this when I was looking at this, and when I went back and looked at a bit of footage of this earlier on, I completely forgot about this in terms of like our Pops crowd reaction one, but this massive is a huge reaction. Anyway, Arn Anderson was looking at like the Four Horsemen reunion and all that sort of stuff. He had Malenko was there, and then he introduced Ric Flair. He's walking down to the ring, down the ramp. He's fucking crying already. And then he just basically sort of, it's one of those things where they blurred the lines. They crossed the actual reality of what was going on with Bischoff, obviously being the boss and going through the legal battle with Flair. And they basically sort of wove it into a promo. And Flair just went Flair. He went full nature and just passion, energy. You fucking believed it. And just him going mental and the fire me, I'm already fired. Like, it's just amazing. Just going, just saying it. Fire me, I'm already fired. Fire me, I'm already fired. Like, he knew he was either way. He's fucked kind of. So he just didn't care. And he just went out there and just told Bischoff a little bit about himself and just was Ric Flair. He was Ric Flair for 10 minutes, and it was fucking incredible.
Yeah,
incredible. Oh, love it. I watched it like 5 times earlier on. I was just like, I was getting pumped. Fuck, I was jacked up. I'm all jacked up, Mountain Dew. I just wanted to go I was going to go do some shit. It was amazing. Yeah, fire me. I'm already fired. My number 5.
So there's a cat in the room. I told you, it's a fucking zoo in here.
It's a fucking zoo in here.
Ladies and gentlemen, meet Theo.
Hi, Theo.
He's fucking clawing me. Fuck off. Okay, yeah, that's a very good one. It was on my wider list. I don't think I've got any promos on my list. Actually, that's actually a shock because I'm usually a big promo mark. Well, okay, wait a minute. Yeah, okay, fair dues. Right, we'll come to that.
I'm so excited for this now. I'm so
Okay,
excited for this now.
so yeah, great promo. It's. I think when you think of Ric Flair, if you have that discussion, that particular promo, in terms of Mount Rushmore being the greatest of all time, that promo is probably in your top 3 reasons as to why, because it was just, like you say, it was undiluted, just absolute raw Ric Flair, and it was, yeah, just sums up how good he was. Okay, moving on to my number 5 then, Hoxie. I've had some moments, I've had some bad moments in WCW. I think this bad moment, it is another one, sums up a moment. It sums up WCW, just how bad and how toxic it got. And that was Vince Russo winning the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. We talked about David Arquette winning it, which was like you could have thrown it in the trash. This was the death nail of WCW. Cage match against Booker T. It was a really weird match, right? Because Goldberg speared Vince Russo through the cage at the same time as Booker T left the cage, and there wasn't really a winner announced that particular night. It was really, really bizarre. And then I think it was the following week, it was then announced, oh yeah, Vince Russo is like the champion. It's like it's not, you can't even call it lazy booking, or it's just pish. It's like, what are you talking about? It's like, and do I know what made it worse, right? There was no end to the angle because he just vacated it. You know, there was no, I mean, I think there was an injury angle where he had concussion from the spear, etc. Blah 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 blah.
That's when he was wearing the fucking helmet and all that shit, wasn't it?
You know, it's like, why? And you know, and I think it's a very, very poignant moment because, you know, it just, again, it epitomised how far WCW had fallen from the debut, you know, that you talked about earlier, to, you know, some of the great matches and great superstars that were there, the Stings, the Ric Flairs, you know, the Ricky the Dragon Steamboats, all the stars you can think of, to this moment where this little fuckknuckle wins one of the greatest wrestling belts of all time. And, you know, this is, again, it's one of those butts and seats moments, right? If you hadn't already turned away, or you were in the process of turning away, this definitely pushed you towards the door even quicker than anything else. So yeah, I think just because of how fucking shambolic it was, it had to be on my list somewhere. Potentially too high, but I think it's still a very, very important moment in WCW history for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, I don't think it's too high. It's a massive, massive moment, memorable moment, definitely. It's just food bar in it. Just food, yeah, absolute pish. Yeah, 100,000,000% crap. The way he like came out and was trying to be a babyface as well. Like they sort of, the whole show, the whole of that Nitro was like booked around him, like coming out and being like this, trying to be this sympathetic fucking babyface. All I wanted to do, bro, is win the World Heavyweight Championship, and he cut a promo as well. Like, it's just, oh my god, fuck off, dreadful, yeah,
Terrible.
Dreadful, yeah, yucky, as my mum would say it, yucky doodah.
I don't particularly want to talk about shit stain anymore, as Jim Cornette would call him.
Yeah, fuck Russo.
Fuck Vince Russo. Let's move on to my number 4 then. And it is another match that I've got on my list here. We're going old school. Not only one of the best matches in WCW, but one of the best matches in wrestling. Clash of Champions 6, 1989. Ric Flair versus Ricky Steamboat. 2 out of 3 fall match. Fucking just so good. I think Meltzer gave it 5 stars. I think it was, you know, we usually say fuck Dave Meltzer, but, you know, it was a deserved 5-star match. It was match of the year 1989. It was just 2 two wrestlers at their absolute peak of their abilities, just 2 out of 3 falls. I think it was just short of an hour, and it was everything you want in a professional wrestling match. You know, there was no plate glass, there was no, it's like it didn't need it. It was two guys telling a story in the ring. They are, as I said, their ability was unmatched. Their chemistry in the ring, Ric Flair and Steamboat's matches, man, just something different. That chef's kiss, it's just, it elevated both of them, who were already superstars. It just elevated them even more. And for me, it's, again, I've talked about some of the shit moments in like a WCW sort of environment. This has got to be one of the great moments, and that's why it's so high on my list as well. Not quite number 4, not quite like top 3, but there's reasons behind it as well. But yeah, that match, if you haven't seen that match, it is a must watch if you're a wrestling fan.
Was that the one where he came out with his family, where he came out with his kid was on the horse or whatever? That was the one, because he was wearing the white, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. That's probably the best of the 3.
Yeah. It's one of the best of all time.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So fucking good.
It's we've spoke about the Flair Steamboat obviously recently with the rivalries and stuff. That trio of matches is fucking amazing. The chemistry, and they presented it like it was a sporting event. Like it was it was like the fucking Super Bowl or like a football match, like a World Cup final, whatever. It was presented like it was a big fucking deal, and it was a sporting event.
It's because it was, right. That's the difference. It was the build up was there. It didn't feel to disappoint. It meant something, absolutely. So yeah, that's why it's on my list.
And they fucked up the promotion of it, so the rating was low. And the crowd was shit. I think the crowd was like fucking 4,000 or something. I don't know without looking. We look back at these matches, and you know what I mean. It's like, how was there only X amount of people watching this fucking match? How was this not like at a, you know what I mean, in a Georgia Dome? Or you mean, why was there not 30,000 people watching this match? Like. Yeah. I guarantee, knowing what we know now, it would sell out at WrestleMania. You know what I mean? That, and it's madness when you think about it. Absolute madness. Yeah.
I'm trying to find the. If I can.
So good, dude. So fucking good. Great.
5,300 people in attendance
for one of the greatest wrestling matches in the history of mankind. and the rating would have been doggo as well. It wouldn't have been as good as some before or after the rating for Clash 6. It's just, it boggles your mind, doesn't it? That just shows how fucking shit WCW were then as well. They weren't. If this was on a WWE event or WWF event at the time, there would have been 15, 20. That would have been Madison Square Garden. There would have been 15,000 people there. That would have been one of the biggest gates in history.
Yep.
It's just the difference between, and that's why WCW were never ever going to make it.
Yeah,
from the very beginning.
Yeah, what was great about that, but that particular match was brilliant. Because you're absolutely right about WCW. I think it was always destined to end in absolute fucking failure, right? But Steamboat won that match, the 2 out of 3 falls.
Yeah,
but they knew the chemistry of Flair and Steamboat, because it was. In order to get Flair back into that picture, it was a case of I think Flair's foot was under the bottom rope. That's how it ended, and the referee didn't see it. So, and that's how they continued on that story. And
there's always an out.
There's always an out, exactly. It's just two fucking superstars, absolute legends of the business, and that rivalry just exemplifies everything good that happened in WCW. So that's my number 4.
And in a time of absolute dog shit as well.
Yeah,
that was a guiding light. It really was.
100%. So I went from a really shit time, Vince Russo, to
great shout,
one of the pinnacles of wrestling. So
great,
my number 4.
Fucking shout.
Over to you, my friend.
My number 4. You people, you know I am, but you don't know why I'm here. Scott Hall debuts on Nitro. This is May the 27th, 1996. An absolute just throwaway nothing match on the show. So it wasn't Hugh Morris, might have been somebody, whoever, just a nothing match. And then all you see is, oh, fuck me, that's Razor Ramon walking through the fucking crowd in his denim fucking cut off sleeveless jacket. Like, and he jumps the fucking railing, grabs a microphone, and starts cutting a promo about Billionaire Ted and the fucking Nacho Man. Like, this is a poignant moment in wrestling. We talk about big moments, but this was the start of that change of that. This was the wrestling war really starting, wasn't it? I know they had Hogan before, a couple of years, 2 years before or whatever. It wasn't really looked at like that. But seeing Razor Ramon, who was one of the biggest stars in WWF at the time, everyone says like, "Oh, he wasn't the fucking champ, and he didn't really do it." Like, Razor Ramon was one of the guys. He was one of the tippy top guys in terms of merch, in terms of presentation, in terms of matches. Like, he was one of their main players alongside Diesel as well. He was the bad guy. And then when you see him walk in there, and then once again, this is where it gets special, and this is why these moments are really, really special. It blurs the lines.
Yep.
People think, hold on a minute, because he didn't say my name's Scott Hall. He still had the accent. He still had the Razor Ramon accent, so they got in trouble for that quite quickly. But it was like, this is where I am. Like, I'm here. I'm in WCW. Like, you want a war? You're going to get one. That's how it started the fucking... How he ended the promo, sorry. Like, just amazing. Amazing moment in wrestling. Just, yeah, fucking great. And massively poignant. Massively poignant in the history of WCW. And once again, we talk about being memorable moments, however you want to put it. It was special for me because it's cool as fuck. And it is 100% memorable moment for WCW, and it's got to be high in the list because this shaped one of those sliding doors moments where it's shaped wrestling for an X amount of time. Took what we love in a different direction. Phenomenal moment.
It changed it. Yeah, I mean, I think that was, again, it was the sort of one of the final nails in the hokey wrestling. You know what I mean? It's a case of it's went now over the edge to, holy shit, this is real, and this is pretty cool at the same time. Whereas before it was very carny, if that makes sense. So no, yeah, I agree with you 100%. Such a good moment. Okay, Hoxie, moving on to number 3.
Oh, is it my number 3?
I think so, is it? Yeah, it is.
So I touched on it a little bit earlier on, and it was Sting sort of the deciding part of... Excuse me. I don't know what the fuck that noise was. That was a Heineken Silver going down my gullet. Sorry, Jesus.
Nom nom nom.
It's Sting. It was basically the when the NWO were running roughshod on everyone, and nobody knew what Sting was going to do. Nobody knew if he was going to jump. Nobody knew if he was going to stay and fight the good fight for WCW, being the WCW original. And it was Fall Brawl 1996, yeah. And he comes in and basically fucks all the NWO guys up. And he says to Luger, who was his best friend at the time, like he was his mate, he says, "Is that good enough for you?" And then fucks off. And the next night on Nitro, he basically comes out and starts telling everyone to fuck off and tell them about themselves. And then he says, "I'm a free agent. I've got nothing to do with WCW or the NWO." He goes away, disappears for however long it was. It might have been a month, a couple of months, whatever. And then you get that shot of him up in the rafters with the face paint on, with his coat, in the dark, and he's there for 12 months until he comes out and starts fucking. And when he comes down, I don't know what you call it, comes down on the rope.
Repels down.
Repels. There you go. He repels down and takes the NWO out with that baseball bat. Like that, for me, like we talk about like that long-term storytelling and making a start and making a change and changing your presentation and becoming fucking like legendary. That whole 12-ish month period is what made Sting one of the guys to be a legitimate legend in wrestling. And it was just, he didn't wrestle for like 10 months or something.
Didn't need to.
Didn't need, exactly. It was just amazing. And then obviously it went to Starrcade 97, which was their biggest pay-per-view, their biggest buy rate, their biggest gate, biggest pay-per-view, everything. They made the most amount of money in one show by doing that Starrcade, and it was we've talked about this before, it's a fucking fuck up, but there's lots and lots and lots of different reasons why. But that whole 12-ish month period of Sting wanting to, like, fuck you all, I'm going to go and do my own thing, and then coming back as just a badass and single-handedly taking down the NWO was just incredible. Amazing bit of storytelling. We don't have stuff like this anymore, and when it works, it is so special. It's so good. We need more of it. We need more of this in wrestling nowadays. We really do. We
just need someone to take a chance. You know, that's all we need. Just take a chance on just trying it.
And how different would it be now? You know what I mean? Like back then, there was long-term feuds and long-term storytelling. Like, if someone done something like this now, how it would be huge, because it would be completely different, wouldn't it? It would stand out over everything because no one's doing that.
It's like the scenario I had, like we talked about with Punk leaving like Money in the Bank. You know, it was the sort of the booking that I put across.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
Let him leave with the title and then let him fuck off for 6, 7, 8 months.
He isn't signed. Yeah.
Pretend. It's like, build it that way. It's like,
you want to go and wrestle Rev Pro in the UK? Yeah. Take the belt to Rev Pro. Yeah. You want to do an Indian fucking Indiana? To do an Indian Indiana. Like, amazing. Crack on. Yeah. So good.
And then there's the moment, there's the Royal Rumble, or there's a Mania, or it's just something. It's long-term storytelling. It sells every single time. It's, you know, and we talk about it, but it's not about matches, it's not about spots, it's eliciting a response from the story that you're telling in the ring, right? And we're missing that. You know, we are missing it. I mean, realistically, the long-term storyline just now in wrestling is the fucking story, right? In all seriousness, it is. I'm not going to shit on it, but you know, it's weak as fuck. It's like 2 years in the making. It's like they've crossed over from a time when it's long-term storytelling to it's like, Jesus fuck, let's go on, mate. Come on, like really speed up. Long. It's like, I'm just going to scan the pages now.
Yeah.
It's like, fucking hell.
It's the last chapter and all the important shit's happened. Like, let's get to the end.
Absolutely. Cool. That's a good one. Sting deciding. Yeah, that's it's a great show. Fantastic show. Okay, moving on. We're going to wrap it through because this is going to be a long one tonight. Okay, my number 3 is WCW's own streak. It had to be mentioned as Goldberg streak in terms of memorable moments within WCW. Started off beating Hugh Morris, and then he just went on to this fucking unbelievable, dominant fashion. It put him over to the point where he became WCW champion, right? He beat Hulk Hogan, you know, but Goldberg we spoke about his lack of ability in terms of in-ring performance. He was the first purveyor of like the 5 moves of doom, right? And even then, 3 of them were shoddy.
3. Yeah.
But he had everything. He had the intensity. He had the entrance is cool as fuck. Let's be honest. Coming through the sparks is just fucking great.
I used to love it when he used to breathe the smoke in.
Smoke through his nose and stuff. Yeah, that's fucking so great. And it's like you think of the people he beat during that streak. It's like Diamond Dallas Page, Scott Hall, Hogan. Fucking Raven, because Raven was big back then. At the Georgia Dome, beating Hollywood Hogan to get the WCW title. It's a moment that people will never forget, just that monumental streak. How long was the streak? We'll never know. I think the number's about 170 odd, right? 173, 174.
They padded it out, didn't they?
Yeah, of course they did, but I think
non-existent matches and stuff, but it don't matter. Still fucking cool.
It was another one of those storylines that helped solidify WCW, right? You had your NWO type stuff going on, you had all that, you had the Sting stuff, but you had Goldberg just running through people. And when you think of WCW, you think of Sting, obviously, you think of Ric Flair, but you think of Goldberg, and it had to be on the list in terms of top moments in WCW. Is that streak was something that mainstream media was talking about it, and if you get into mainstream media, it's got to be on a list of memorable stuff.
Crossover thing, wasn't it? Yep. And Goldberg went on to be film star and to be a personality, and because of all of that, he sort of huge moment.
Huge. Okay. My number 2 is I think you touched upon it. It's actually the match between Flair and Sting for the last time ever, 26th of March 2001, the last WCW. It was one of the most booked matches ever, Ric Flair versus Sting, and then they were always intertwined throughout their time, and then it just made sense. It was that full circle moment for WCW. 2 of the stars of WCW coming together. It just made sense. It was the first, it was on the first show. It had to be on the last show. And this was a time when Ric Flair was really struggling with confidence. Flair's went through that a lot in his career. Like he had it in WCW, he had it in WWE as well. Like Flair wrestled in his shirt that night, because he didn't want to appear topless. Which
he looked good enough.
Yeah, he still managed to cut his promo, and then the match itself, was it as great as the match he's gone by? No, but it gave you this sort of nostalgic hit of the best moments of Sting and Ric Flair, right? And that's all you wanted in that match. And I think, it had to be on my list. It was just a poignant moment, and it was the right way to end WCW after all the shit they went through. Like, they started at the very, very top, and then they slowly descended into absolute anarchy and chaos. And it was a sort of perfect, bittersweet moment for Ric Flair and Sting to go out. And that's why it's so high on my list, because it's just that full circle moment.
Yep. It was on my wider list.
Yeah, I thought so.
It was one of the sort of first things that I took off, but it was definitely on the wider list. Like just the hug at the end.
Yeah,
like when they have the match and they just, that's pretty much sort of kind of how it goes off. It's like the end. Yeah, it's emotional, man, when you watch it back.
100%.
Not the greatest match ever, not the greatest build, whatever, but they couldn't have done it any better. Yeah,
it sort of showed. Yeah, it sort of showed what WCW could do, in terms of pulling at the heartstrings a little bit, and perfect way to end. Cool. Over to you, Hoxie, number 2.
You got very close to mentioning it. Just it's Goldberg beating Hogan.
All right, okay.
At the Georgia Dome. But you talk about massively, massively special moments in wrestling and WCW. That is up there. So, obviously, the streak. He was still US. Was it US champion or TV champion at the time? He still had another belt, so he beat whoever. So we went into the match. So this is at the Georgia Dome. There was 40,000 fans at the Georgia Dome. all there basically to watch this match. I think you might be able to correct me if I'm wrong. Some of the listeners might be able to correct me if I'm wrong. It was the first time they'd done the Dome. I think it was the first time they ever ran the Dome. Goosebump moments.
Yeah.
When Goldberg picks him up in that suplex position to give him that jackhammer, all the babies are in the air. All the drinks are in the air. There's not a single person quiet. There's not a single person on their feet, on their seat. Everyone stood up. It's an amazing moment. And when that 3 count hits, fair play to Hogan for doing the job. He knew what he needed to do there. Like he could see the money in this guy and the money in being around this guy and having him be the guy. It was an amazing thing for Hogan to do. At a time where he was still hot, he was still a big deal himself. He wasn't on the way out or anything like that. He was still a big draw. There is a big argument for the fact that this should have been on a pay-per-view. There was lots and lots of money left on the table with this event. If they had 6 months to build this, they could have sold out the fucking Bulldog Stadium. They could have had 100,000 people in to watch this match. I genuinely think this could have been one of the biggest drawing matches in history, especially at that time.
Yep.
But they put it on telly, and I know why. They wanted to get their ratings, and they wanted the TV execs who were going to be buying into this show for the X amount of time or whatever. They wanted to show what they could do. Fair play, whatever. There's more to it than selling pay-per-views and tickets or whatever. There's a lot more to it. So, but it's an amazingly just like it's a proper Goldberg Hogan match.
Yeah.
Like fuck all really happens. Everyone's there to see the jackhammer, to see the spit. Like to see Hogan get speared and jackhammered, and it does not disappoint. That vision of Goldberg he's on the corner with the 2 belts, like holding the 2 belts up. This fucking cool as fuck. So cool. As I'm not a massive Goldberg mark. No. It's not on here because I love Goldberg and I need to get it on this high up in the list. Like special moments in wrestling, and it was WCW. It has to be up there. I think anyone's list. You went down the streak route. This is a big part of that. I think anyone's list, Goldberg being like the guy, is got to be towards the top of a list when it comes to WCW moments, and that's why mine's number 2.
Makes sense. Makes perfect sense.
Yep.
Okay. So if you've listened to the podcast before, we usually have a honourable mention between 2 and 1. So it's basically something that could have been on the list, but we couldn't fit it in anywhere. So we have a cheeky number 11 pick. So, Mr. Hawks, your honourable mention for this week.
My honourable mention is Ron Simmons winning the World Heavyweight Championship.
Oh, that's a good one. Not mine, but it's a very good one.
So he wrestled Vader, Big Van Vader, in the title match. He's the first black champion, basically. Yep. First African American heavyweight wrestling champion in history. And that's a big moment, especially when what we said earlier on, WCW was looked at as that Southern wrestling promotion. For them to put the title on a black man, especially back in that sort of early 90s period, was a fucking huge thing, a huge deal. And Ron Simmons was a badass anyway. There's footage of the match. I think Ron Simmons is like hitting his finish on Vader, and there's a kid just like in the aisleway behind like hard cam, like behind the ring. And he just fucking loses his mind and just like runs across. He's just like, like I always remember that when I think of Ron Simmons, I think of damn, and then I think of that little kid. So for me, it had to get my honorable mention. It was a big deal. It's a big deal now.
Still is.
It was a big deal then. Ron Simmons is badass. The picture of him on everyone's shoulders, like all the guys like celebrating with him and stuff, is amazing. So yeah, honorable mention. Ron Simmons wins that World Heavyweight Championship.
Legitimate talent. Fucking loves Ron Simmons. Damn. Okay.
Unfuckwithable, mate. Absolute fucking treble hard motherfucker as well.
Yep.
Fair play, Ron.
Okay. So my honourable mention, I went a bit left field, right? I went very
Is this a
shaky.
shaky moment? Is this a shaky
Potentially.
moment? Come on.
So
I'm so excited you built this up now. I'm really excited.
yeah, I probably shouldn't have had this on. It's a bit shit, but
It's fun. It's just a fun one, right?
It is a fun one, yeah. It's just, if you think about worst debuts in wrestling,
Yes.
if you think about worst debuts in wrestling, I think most wrestling fans will think of a glitter-covered Stormtrooper helmet. And on
God.
a live broadcast of Clash of Champions, I think it was 14, poor old Fred Ottman.
Freddie Ottman.
Was the debut of the Shockmaster. Now, Fred Ottman was really talented, right? He was a talented wrestler. He could go. He had
Typhoon.
Yep, exactly. Really successful career. However, his debut as the Shockmaster, things didn't go well. What was supposed to happen? He was supposed to come out, make this big, grandiose entrance for a promo segment. He was supposed to.
Who introduced him? We've been talking about him a lot tonight. It's Sting!
Fucking it wasn't Shiva. Oh, there we go.
He was going to be a big deal. Yeah,
he was supposed to be a massive deal. He was supposed to smash through a wall. However, there was an error. So again, Shockmaster was wearing a glittery Stormtrooper guy helmet, right? And he smashed through the wall. However, there was a piece of wood that he tripped over. He fell flat in his face, and the poor bastard's helmet fell off, and Shockmaster was never to be seen again. So
the poor bastard's helmet fell off.
Well, there you go. That's the greatest summation ever, right?
I've got a hiccup. Oh no!
So yeah, that's my honourable mention, is the Shockmaster's debut being the worst debut in wrestling. I just thought it was a nice, funny moment, Hoxie. Is that the shakiest shake moment?
So good. I didn't even even think about this at all. Didn't even cross my fucking mind.
I saw the glint in your eye when I said the worst debut in wrestling.
Exactly what we're talking about.
Oh man. God. Okay, right.
So good. I love that.
Before we reveal our number one.
Fucking hiccups.
Oh, sorry, man. We usually go through our 10 to honourable mention, run through what we've actually said before. So, Hoxie, you go first.
You go first. I'm holding my breath to get rid of these hiccups.
All right,
you do it.
My number 10 was Goldberg breaking the window and almost getting his arm amputated. Fucking idiot. Number 9 was the match of Eddie Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio at Halloween Havoc, the mask versus title. Fucking great match. Number 8 was David Arquette winning the WCW title. 7 was Rick Rude debuting on WCW and appearing in WWF Raw on the same night. Number 6 was the Finger Poke of Doom. Number 5 was Russo winning the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. 4, Flair versus Steamboat at Clash of Champions 6. 3 was Goldberg's undefeated streak. 2 was Flair versus Sting for the last time in WCW. The last WCW mention was the worst debut in wrestling, the Shock.
Number 10, Hogan signs with WCW. Number 9, the debut of Monday Nitro. Number 8, the My Spot promo on Anderson. Number 7, Funk turning on Flair, the pile driver through the table. Number 6, the lawn dart segment. Number 5, fire me, I'm already fired. Number 4, Scott Hall debuts on Nitro. Number 3, Sting sort of decides his future. Number 2, Goldberg beating Hogan. And my honourable mention is Ron Simmons winning the World Heavyweight Championship.
Makes sense. So it's on to my number 1. Now, I don't know if we've got the same one, because it's not been mentioned, I don't think. Well, it's not been mentioned by me because it's my number 1, obviously. It's not been mentioned by you, I don't think. My number 1 was Hogan's heel turn and the formation of the NWO.
Third man. Same.
Yep.
Number 1.
There we go.
Yep.
Yeah.
Has to be.
Yeah. It pulled the trigger on the biggest babyface turn ever, right? From babyface, the ultimate babyface. I don't think anybody's reached that level of babyface maybe John Cena an argument could be made.
Yeah.
But that decision to have Hogan as the third man and forming the NWO changed the business forever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It could have been the perfect segment, but there was one shit the bed moment. Whose side is he on? Yeah. So yeah, that's my number one.
Boo. The only bad thing I can ever say about Bobby Heenan is that call. It's just shocking. But yeah.
We'll just talk about it together. If it's...
they still, even until the day of, even before he went through the curtain, they still didn't know whether he was actually going to do it.
Yeah.
Bischoff went to him, and because he was filming Thunder in Paradise, wasn't he, at the time? And Bischoff went out to like wherever he was filming it, probably Florida or something, and he was having this conversation by the pool, and Bischoff has said, like, he said, I sort of presented it to him, and he, as Bischoff would say, he stroked his Fu Manchu, like the whole fucking the beard, and was like, I don't think that works for me, brother. So even he presented it to him like, this is what we're going to do, this is how it's going to work, and even he still wasn't keen on it. He knew he had to change, but he still wasn't keen on being that third man. But the leg drop heard around the world, basically. He's had a couple of them. Hogan has.
He certainly has.
He's probably been involved in two of the most major moments in wrestling history: the Andre Hogan match and that leg drop. When you think about important moments for the sort of respectable promotions, like companies, like that WrestleMania 3 match is the biggest thing that WWF ever did, and it was a game. It was a throw of the dice for them. It could have went either way. And the same with this WCW moment. Like it changed the way, it changed the projection for wrestling forever. Basically, those two moments did, and they were both involved in this guy. Amazing moment. I still go back and watch that every so often. Like, and he drops it on Savage as well, which is like the way they built to that.
Yeah.
That bash at the beach was just, it was so good. The fucking shit getting thrown in the ring, like the heat, instant heat of getting that was just amazing.
He was everybody's hero, right? That's what made it so visceral, you know.
Thank you, vitamins. He was the savior of WCW, signing a couple of years old, like early. He's the yellow and red, right? He's the Hulkster, the fucking Hulkamaniac. Always been the good guy, forever and a day. He's always been that good guy, and he comes out and joins the Outsiders and is the third man. It's amazing. There was loads of rumors that I think British Bulldog was meant to be the third man at one point.
Yeah.
Like all this like mad shit that was always said, but Bischoff has come out and said like that's who we wanted it to be. Like if it wasn't him, it probably wouldn't have been somebody else for like a long period of time. Like there was rumors about Sting going to be the third man or whatever, but the play was always for Hogan to start that NWO, that New World Order. It was amazing.
And it just skyrocketed, right? I mean, obviously it became a bit of a meme in itself because fucking everybody and their granny became a member of the NWO, but those three core members were the NWO.
Yes.
You know, for life. Yeah. But yeah, fucking great moment. I think it just sums up WCW. As I said earlier, when it's good, it's very, very good. But we've also seen from the list, when it's bad, it's fucking terrible. That's a TikTok right there, isn't it?
It is. Yes, it really is.
So that is the end of the list of top 10 WCW moments. Good, bad, indifferent. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let us know at wrestlemark10@gmail.com. Mark_out of 10 on Twitter. Check us out on YouTube, on TikTok, on Instagram. All Mark out of 10. That's our thing. And also follow us on Twitch as well. Twitch.tv/Mark out of 10. What I will say, Hoxie, is this came in. I only just saw it on our YouTube channel. It's a comment on the last episode, top 10 prospects. So if you just indulge me for a minute or so. So this is from Black Country T-shirt. Sorry?
Is it you, hon?
Comment came from Black Country T-Shirts Official, so thank you for the comment. Hoxie is fucking bang on with Ricky Starks. I'm not going to fucking read the rest, that's flaky. But I'll continue.
Woo!
As a professional, the NWA had the integrity to have them do promos apart or on different episodes so as not to remove the tension for each of them. LA Knight is fantastic, but I genuinely believe that he has as longevity can last another 10 years. So he's talking about Starks. Starks could take over the whole Miz show stick tomorrow and blast Raw into the heavens. I believe he'll be at WWE in the next few years with Cody by his side. MJF is my number one prospect because right now he's outgrown AEW and ready for the big league. WWE will be on people's lips in 20 years as Ric Flair, Sting, Austin, Rock, etc. Amazing talent, and my number one woman is Jade Cargill. Money coming out the arse. She-Hulk. Thank you for the comment. I mean, I totally agree with you in terms of MJF. I think MJF is already a star. That's why he wasn't on my list. Or was he on my list? No, he wasn't on my list. Was he on my list? I can't remember.
On your list.
Was he on my list?
Yeah, I think he was.
He's a star, yes. I agree with you regardless. Ricky Starks, very talented, as I said before. He's not going to be the guy. He's going to be a guy lost in the shuffle in WWE. That's still my opinion. Come at me, bro. But yeah, thank you very much for the comment. As ever, we try and read out as many comments as we can. It's been a bit of a lull recently, but yeah, if you want to be read out on the podcast, let us know. Thoughts about that comment, Hoxie?
Couldn't agree more.
Fuck off.
Couldn't agree any more with that statement.
Blah, 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 blah. Okay. That is the end of the podcast for the evening. Next week, we obviously revealed earlier on the first two inductees into the 2024 class of the Hall of Fame. The next Mark Out of 10 episode is going to be the top 10 people who should be in the Hall of Fame, in our opinions. I think this is going to be an absolute cracker.
Yes. I think we have some more discussion points in this episode as well. I think this is get to fuck territory. I really do. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this.
It's going to be good.
Yeah.
So obviously, Paul Heyman and Bill Nicano are going to go into the Hall of Fame, so they're
we'll probably
from
find
the
out
list.
some more, won't we? Next week. By the time we record next week, there'll probably be another Raw or a SmackDown or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
So basically, as of recording next Thursday, it's up to and including anything that's been announced. Check us out on Twitter. We'll put on who's going to be on the next induction into the Hall of Fame. From Shields, thank you very much for listening to this epic podcast, actually. It's been a long one tonight. Thank you very much. Have a great weekend.
I've thoroughly enjoyed it, though, mate. I've really enjoyed this one. This has been one of my favourite ones. I think this could be a sleeper episode as well. I'll just finish on that. Thank you very much, guys. I've really, really enjoyed this week. I hope you've listened to our ramblings and enjoyed it as well. And love you. Bye.
Bye.